We Were Soldiers is a Vietnam movie based on the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young by journalist Joseph Galloway, and it follows the lives of Colonel Hal Moore and his men during their time in Vietnam. The movie starts off with a very bloody scene of French soldiers getting killed in their attempt to maintain their control over Vietnam, and it kind of sets the stage for what's about to come in the rest of the movie. After that, you see Moore moving into a new house with his wife and kids in a community that's specifically made for the families of people in the military. The first bit of the movie, you see Moore and other people in that specific military community spending time with their families and going to like little parties and events. The wives meet up to discuss things right before the men are sent to Vietnam, and it kind of makes it so that you have an understanding of like these people and their personal lives before they leave. During some type of ceremony that was held, Hal Moore is speaking to a big audience that includes the wives of the soldiers and the soldiers themselves and other people, and he says that he will be the first one to step on the battlefield and the last one to step off, kind of making the point that he's always going to be there for his men, and that's a big part of the movie. There's not a lot to say about like the main portion of the movie when they're in Vietnam. It covers both the domestic side of it. It shows the wives at home with their kids and coping, and it also shows the men on the battlefield getting killed and going through very violent experiences. There's not a lot to say about like the main portion of the movie when they're in Vietnam. It covers both the domestic side of it. It shows the wives at home with their kids and coping, and it also shows the men on the battlefield getting killed and going through very violent experiences. I would say the movie is pretty realistic because it's directed by journalist Joseph Galloway, and it's also assisted by Colonel Hal Moore himself. And so I think he was able to put in his personal experiences and like what really happened into the movie. I will say, while Hal Moore was in Vietnam, that's an important part. Joseph Galloway comes in, and he's just a journalist witnessing everything going down. And there's a huge contrast between him as a journalist and other journalists covering Vietnam. There's actually a scene towards the end where you see like other journalists arriving to the area and freaking out and trying to get all close to the soldiers and ask a bunch of questions. And then you see Joseph Galloway just completely shaken up by everything that he's just witnessed and trying to get the other reporters to like go away, kind of. I think the movie works really hard to kind of include all perspectives. There's scenes of the North Vietnamese in there. There's scenes of the wives back at home, like I said, and there's scenes of the men on the battlefield. Because the entire movie is literally about the Vietnam War, I'd say that it'd be in period 8. I've literally taken the Cold War class. I think I already knew a lot about the Vietnam War, but the biggest thing that the movie showed me was the experience of the wives back at home. It really makes you feel for them and like emphasizes just how bad the situation was for some of them. There's scenes where they're getting these letters delivered and they see the letters and they already know like what the letter contains, and they just break down. And these women who have built a community with the other wives of soldiers have to leave because their husband is dead and they have no more purpose there. The part of the movie that shows the side on the home front is just very real, and it gives a perspective that we don't get a lot from Vietnam movies. And that's another point on how historically accurate the movie is. Like I said, it's literally influenced directly by the book We Were Soldiers, which was written by someone in Vietnam, and the movie also has input from Colonel Hal Moore himself, so it couldn't really get any more realistic than it is. There's obviously factors to it that make it like Hollywood, but at the same time, I think it is one of the most accurate Vietnam movies. I didn't have like genuine questions out of curiosity after watching the movie, but I did just think about like, was it worth it? Was this necessary? Like, even after watching almost any Vietnam movie, I'm still left with the question of why we really needed to be there. But like I said, We Were Soldiers is the most accurate Vietnam movie I've seen, and it really helps you to connect with the people that were actually experiencing it. And I think that's what makes it such a good movie. I had to restart the movie because my TV kicked me out, but this is me watching it.